something else that I want to pick your brain on.
Okay.
Epistemology.
Epistemology.
You've been talking about this big word.
Epistemology, a simple definition of it, it's like the study of the source and transmission of information.
Yeah, it's not knowledge. I thought epistemology was like the study or philosophy of knowledge. Is that something else?
Well, it's...
Or is that
yeah,
just like a
I mean, you
category
could
of
say
it?
that, information, knowledge.
Yeah.
But also the source of the knowledge. Not just knowledge itself,
How you're receiving
but how is this knowledge being transmitted?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a way of describing the different methods or vehicles of the transmission of knowledge or information, a word would be media. Now, for us, we think of media as like the news media or the whatever.
Facebook.
But media is, for the sake of the discussion of epistemology, is just like the vehicle carrying information.
Yeah.
So oral tradition would be a form of media. The printing press is a form of media. It is a vehicle that is transmitting knowledge. The telegraph would be a form of media. Television, radio, you know, the internet, all of these things are different avenues of media that are communicating information. The thing to look at in epistemology is every time the primary form of media changes, it has a huge impact on culture. Now, with each of those changes in media, whether it's a radical change to it or just an additional source for communicating information, you're going to have both positive and negative effects. Anytime you look at like when the thing changes in society, you could point to negative effects, but to be fair, you have to point to positive effects and try to weigh out, does the positive outweigh the negative? Right? You know, for example, when the primary form of retaining knowledge and communicating information was oral tradition, every town or village would have at least one kind of wise sage or elder type person who had committed all of this wisdom to memory, who was the keeper of the stories, who had the proverbs memorized, who knew these things. And when there was a conflict or some kind of issue in the village, they would go to that wise person and say, you know, what should we do in this situation? And this elder would have this wisdom for you. Well, when it went from oral tradition to things being written down, that need for that wise sage elder person was kind of marginalized, and they stopped either being developed or at least being honored as much in those cultures. So that was a sacrifice, right? That's a negative to it. On the other hand, now all of this information, because people were writing it down, scribes or whoever, was being retained more accurately and was accessible by more people because it had been written down.
That would be the positive.
The positive is now like many more people over much larger areas had access to this information. So say like in Jewish culture, like back in Jesus' day, there was of course the temple, but then there were synagogues around the nation as well. And in these synagogues, there would be a copy of the scrolls. And these scrolls had been meticulously written by the scribes. Like, we know the stories of the scribes, like literally if they made one mistake, often the whole work would be destroyed.
Yeah, you'd have one scribe writing and one scribe looking over.
Yeah, exactly. To make sure that they were perfect. It is a very slow process, a very laborious process, but there was still able to be multiple sources of this wisdom all around the nation that were all in perfect harmony with each other.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. The detriment to that was like going forward, when still the primary way of having this information was being written like that, you had select few people who were guardians of that information, and everyone else was kind of subject to them.
Yeah.
So if you fast forward to the 1400s with the invention of the printing press, right? And now, you have this Gutenberg Bible being mass produced. Now it starts to break down that barrier of written language. So think about that. Before the Bible is printed, you have to go to a priest, and he's going to tell you what it says,
Yeah.
or maybe tell you things it doesn't say, or maybe leave out important parts of what it says. But your only source of being able to know what the Bible says, for instance, is guarded in this handwritten copy of God's word that only he has, and there's only so many of them in the world. And that's your only source of information. Yeah. So these people have power.
Which Martin Luther was doing his work before the printing press, right?
Yeah,
so it was starting to circulate outside of
that was the start of the Reformation for sure, but the printing press is what gave power to the Reformation. Because now it's like everybody now has access to this mass-produced printed word, and they don't need this person to tell them what it says anymore. And now they can start to see, even outside of religious Christian dynamics, the printing press and the mass-produced Bible completely changed the world. Yeah. Now everybody wanted to be literate. Like prior to the printing press, why did you even need to know how to read? Yeah. And yet by the 1700s, like when people are coming to America to form this new nation, they say that by that point, 99% of the men in the colonies knew how to read and read at a high level. Why? Because it had become incumbent on people, not that they just could read the Bible, but that they should read the Bible. Yeah. And they should be reading works of philosophers and scientists. And, you lost the romance of the tradition of handwritten copies of this Bible and, this hierarchy of information. But obviously the benefit of the printing press far outweighs.
Yeah. Yeah, you do see like a small decrease in value though, right? Not with scripture, obviously. That was the biggest positive that the printing press had.
Yeah.
But, once things start really operating, and suddenly it becomes a lot easier to just write and mass produce things. Yeah. So like before, like when they were writing the Gospels or all the accounts that we have in the Bible, like it wasn't just a cheap or easy thing to do. No. To document something and write it. So you had to be very intentional about what it is you're writing, and why you're writing it.
Okay. So this is a great point. The difficulty of producing a handwritten work means that the thought that went into it more and the subject matter had to be valuable enough to justify that input. Yeah. Excellent point. Printing press comes out. Now you can afford to be a little more frivolous with what you're going to produce because it's so much easier to produce it. Yeah. And yet we see overall a net positive from written to printing.
But this might become a theme.
But you've hit it exactly right. The trend of now the ease with which this is produced allows for more frivolous content. Fast forward now to say the advent of television, right?
Or the telegraph.
The telegraph for sure. Yeah. The telegraph is the precursor to it because now you can communicate all the way across the country any amount of information and it's free to tell people anything. Yeah. And they can take that and put it into a printed newspaper and have it out to the public. Less than 24 hours later, everybody's reading about it.
That quote you used of the whooping cough.
Yeah.
The Queen's whooping cough.
Yeah.
The first information that they would discover.
Yeah. It's just like people are going to work like crazy to establish a transatlantic telegraph line only to realize that the most interesting thing they learn is that the princess had whooping cough yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, why am I burdening my life with this information that I can do nothing about?
Yeah.
And that really does nothing, so, and the same was true with establishing a telegraph line from, New York to Texas. It's like, okay, certainly some information is going to be great. Like, oh, this president won the election. Now you can tell Texas who won the election.
Yeah.
There's certain things that were definitely good to know. But for the most part, a daily update from New York to Texas and them reading it the next day in the paper meant what to them?
Yeah, which, I mean, some of it, like you said, would have been important information to get it across the country.
Yeah.
But it had to be important information to get it across the country before the telegraph.
It had to be,
The process they had to go through to get it across the country was pretty time-consuming.
Because at its fastest transmission point prior to the telegraph, information moved at 35 miles per hour. And that was by train.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to invest the effort, and that's not even counting the amount of time that's, that information would have to be on horseback and being, communicated through things like Pony Express or whatever.
Yeah.
So the commitment to get a piece of information from New York to Texas required that it had better be very important what you're saying. But once the telegraph is there, who cares?
Yeah.
It costs nothing.
Yeah.
It happens instantly. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's snowing in New York right now, So, but overall, you might say, even with the telegraph, a net positive.
Yeah.
I mean, people aren't just sitting around in their living room all night with telegraphs there, listening to it beep, going like, oh man, I know I should be doing something better, but I just can't get away from this.
That was a good one.
I can't get away from this telegraph right now. Binge watching.
Binge listening to.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing the Gettysburg Address again. I love this. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it was still probably a net positive to be able to communicate information from one side to the other. Mm-hmm. But again, once you get to the place of television, and not just the fact that you could produce an image, but that now it's incumbent upon you to produce content for
got to fill the space
every hour of the day.
Yep.
And also it's paid for by people watching it. So how do we get people to engage with it? The level of information became very dumbed down, and public discourse became dumbed down, and different things became valuable. I forget who it was that Lincoln was running against for president, but they would have these debates where they would travel by train from city to city. And these debates would last 7 or 8 hours. Their debates were basically written out. So Lincoln would make an hour and a half point, and then this person would make an hour and a half counterpoint.
Not written out in the way that they would respond.
Well, at some point, yeah. Because they're doing these debates across the country so that everybody would know, I think this and I think this. And these are the issues.
Yeah.
And they would take breaks, let people go home, get some dinner, come back. It was like, there would be thousands of people that would come and just listen for 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
These two politicians go back and forth. Fast forward to the advent of the television. Okay, you get 3 minutes to answer this question.
Yeah.
You have a 1 minute time to respond to it. Honestly, the value is not based on what content was presented in that 3 minutes. It's how snappy was your response. Did you get a laugh out of the audience that means oh, you burned on this guy and he couldn't think of something in 1 minute? And it's almost like the issue or their plan isn't even important. It's just who is a better entertainer.
Yeah, the idea of quality shifted. Yeah.
Yeah, you had presidents back in the day who weighed 350, 400 pounds, but they won because their ideas were so good.
Yeah.
You will never have that again.
Yeah.
If you don't present well on television, if you don't, like, the first election that they say was really dramatically affected by television was John F. Kennedy against Richard Nixon. Mm-hmm. And John F. Kennedy, in black and white TV, they say, I don't know if this is exactly right or not, but they say he kind of rigged it to where Nixon didn't get the proper makeup that made you not appear pale on black and white television.
Yeah.
Like if you saw people for real who were on black and white TV, their faces were kind of colored weird from the makeup because that showed up better. So in the debate, he looks sick.
Sweating.
He looks pale.
Yeah.
He looks like he's like old and ill, and it was just makeup.
Honestly, how I envision Nixon.
Right? Well, that's probably one of the most popular images of him, other than him like, oh, I'm not a great or whatever, you know? But it's like just that appearance, not the ideas or anything else, but just the way he appeared cost him the election.
Yeah. Optics became everything.
Well, that's the culture we live in, you know? People are winning elections based on an appearance on an influencer's podcast or, you know.
It's funny how when that fails, though, and there's still an agenda and a thing that people need others to buy into, that they'll start distorting that whole process that's been developed, you know, and like suddenly it's not even about who says the best things or even who looks good or even, you know, who has a snappy remark. It just becomes like this, I don't know, like this force, I think, of politics, like current politics right now. I mean, we just had Joe Biden as a president. Yeah. That dude could hardly speak, you know, like I don't want to offend anybody, but it was weird to watch.
Even aside from political lines, Republican or Democrat or whatever, he was clearly...
He was not
not up for the task of running the most powerful nation on earth. He was not up for it.
I don't know if anybody truly is, but he definitely was not. You know, like...
And then what finally happens is he ends up in a debate, even though it's a modern debate that requires so little of these politicians, talk for 5 minutes about this. I could talk for 5 minutes about anything.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't mean that I know anything about it.
Yeah.
But and he couldn't even do that.
Yeah, and you're up against a guy like Trump.
Just like melting you. You know what I mean? Tearing apart your golf game. You know, it's like, my goodness, I didn't even know we were, you know, so it's like,
come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, and he just, you know, so Donald Trump, for instance, is a guy who he knows how to dominate in this media forum. And I'm not even saying that he doesn't have substance to his ideas or anything like that. I'm not discounting what he does outside of that, but he has the mix of he's got ideas and things he wants to do, whether people like it or not. He clearly does have some kind of plan. But not only that, he knows how to function in this media space. He knew how to do it before he was in politics.
Yeah.
He could somehow pick, you know, an idea for a reality television show and it would be popular. Like he knows how to communicate in this current, like, I don't know if this word is too strong, but this current dispensation of epistemology, like he just thrives in it.
Yeah, which is a strength, but also one of his weaknesses for sure.
But somehow, you know.
Yeah, he knows how to get people to listen.
He knows how to do it. Even as, you know, in his time, it was television, and now it's more internet and podcast and tweets and Truth Social and all this stuff, and yet he just still knows how to operate in those spaces. So he is somebody who is like, if there was like some professor who studies and specializes in epistemology and how to adapt to it and how to thrive in it, that should be one of his case studies there. Is how did Donald Trump dominate in this environment that you saw? I mean, a lot of other politicians could not figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. They're still going on their same old circuit of things, you know? I mean, they might as well have been hopping on the back of a train and going from town to town like this. It was like, that's how dated it felt compared to what he was doing.
Yeah. So, and you would see the look of shock on their face.
Yeah.
Like they did. Like you just,
like, oh, what? He went on the 300 million people saw him do this. Yeah. You know, and they went on this show that cost 100,000 times more and was seen by less than 1 million people. Yeah. And he went on this that cost nothing. And, you know, almost 500 million people see it. And it's like, I mean, it's just...
It's wild.
But it all is kind of related to that epistemology.
Yeah, like, so...
Where is our information coming from? What is the source of our knowledge now?
So we go from oral tradition to written language.
Yeah.
Net positive.
Yes.
Okay. Written language to the printing press.
Yeah. Net real positive. Quick. Once we go to written language, you notice how you have the scribes who, in a sense, in that culture, functioned as lawyers. Now you didn't need this one wise sage person to settle a dispute. You, in a sense, had these people who were like the lawyers of their time because they all knew to go like, well, the law says this here.
Well, when we read
boom,
this.
Boom.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the introduction of lawyers to culture.
Yeah.
When it went from oral to written.
Yeah, before it was more of like just the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get lawyers. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So we have positive.
I think so.
Into written language.
Yes.
Positive into the printing press.
Yes.
Always some negatives, always some cons, you know.
Sure.
And then you get into the telegraph, net positive. I feel good about saying a net positive.
Yes.
And then you get to TV.
Yeah.
Right? That's the next big one.
You're almost skipping radio.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about radio. There's a great Ken Burns documentary about this that, contrary to most things with Ken Burns documentaries, it's just 2 episodes. A lot of his things are like 14 2-hour episodes or whatever. It's only 2 episodes. It's not a huge commitment. Radio had a very short lifespan. I'm not in the sense of like, of course, we still have radio,
still around,
but
it didn't dominate.
Radio, in the absence of television, only existed for a few years.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't...
A few years?
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
Really?
It wasn't long when you had nationally broadcast AM, FM radio to where now everybody has a radio in their living room and they're clicking on and listening to the Lone Ranger show or whatever. Yeah. It was not that very many years before everybody had a television. The technology to broadcast, it's a term, broadcast, not just cast a signal down the street, but, you know, to be able to alternate these vacuum tubes to where now they're vibrating at a different frequency back and forth. The technology to take that from radio to sending an image was not
far.
It's not that far. It was a small step. It was a huge step to get to that with radio being nationally broadcast. The next step, I'm just saying the effect that radio had is really overshadowed by the effect that television had. If radio had existed in a vacuum for 30 years,
it would be
it would be much more...
You can see the signs.
Yeah, it would be much more of a fulcrum point in history than it is.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. So, but there is radio in there.
So we'll just combine
radio and television. Honestly, very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Net positive?
Television?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. So television now, you start getting a dumbing down of culture. Because the level of communication just starts getting sillier and sillier in order to keep people engaged with the television. I mean, you look at people in the 1920s, 1930s, the way they communicated, the way they talked, they almost talked in sentences that could have been written down in books.
Yeah.
Because they were learning the English language by being voracious readers.
Yeah, that's all they had to do. Anyways.
So they communicated on that level. And even to get things into print, still more thought had to be put into something in print than something in the television.
And you were still reading.
So think of like by the time you get to the 60s and the 70s, and you got shows like Laugh-In and the Carol Burnett Show and all of these things that are just, I mean, they're funny.
Yeah.
Right? But this was like
a total shift.
And think about like the language of the 60s.
Yeah.
Like how people who had been raised now, this is a generation by the 60s of people who had been raised on television. Right? And it's like, hey man, you know what I mean? Like the whole...
Yeah.
Like you listen to kids talk now. And, you know, with Skibbity and 6'7" and 6'7", you know, all this stuff. and you go like, oh, how?
Yeah.
It's TikTok. It's like, you know, it's again, it's such a easy thing. I mean, now you don't even have to have a television studio and be trained in, you know, all of these different technologies to be able to produce something to put out on the airways.
Yeah.
This is a, you know,
it's a free for all.
This is a 10-year-old with a cell phone making content that's on the internet 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
And you see the level continuing to drop. So are there any net positives with television? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, people got to see things that they never would have gotten to see before. Places in the world, educational things. They got to see what the conflict looked like in Vietnam. They got to see, you know, like it impacted them in a real way. But is it a net positive? Probably not. And I can honestly say, as a kid who was fully raised on television, Chips, Dukes of Hazzard, you know, BJ McKay, like I loved TV growing up. I had all the commercials memorized. I loved TV growing up. If I had to look back over my life and say, would my life be better if I had never watched television? I'm sure that it would have been.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Even now.
So why watch TV?
Why indeed? I'm still going to. Tori and I, one time, we did get rid of our TV for 6 years.
Yeah.
So we've done it. But I agree. I'm going to still watch TV. And yet I do believe if I got rid of my television right now,
you'd be better off.
I would be better off for it. But what does that mean?
Well,
does that mean not watching YouTube on my phone?
Aspects. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like now there's so many.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we go from TV, and then eventually it's not really necessarily an information source, is just entertainment, but video games.
Video games, for sure.
That's definitely going to have some cultural shift.
Yes.
And impact, especially on kids, and just kind of creating a barrier between, you know, the older generation and the newer generation. And
yeah,
that's a whole other topic probably of what video games does to a kid, and information's getting kind of more condensed too, right? Which is interesting. Like there's more of it, but you had books, and letters and written word.
Sure.
Telegraph. I guess the telegraph would have been more condensed information as well. But you get to TV and you got like what, a 22-minute show when you add in the commercials.
Yeah.
And then you got 22 minutes to tell a story. Or like you said, you got 5 minutes to make your point.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just gets more condensed down into a clean package, Yeah, then we end up getting closer to where we're at now with, I guess, cell phone, like iPhone would have been, there was MySpace, the internet.
The internet is the next big thing.
Yeah.
Because the internet, it changed things. Like even with television, almost every home had a set of Encyclopedia Britannicas.
Yeah.
And when you needed to know something, like actual information, most homes, maybe most is an overstatement, but a lot of homes had some set of encyclopedias or something that you could go and reference and read about it. And if not, you could go to the library, find the information there. Mm-hmm. Television didn't eliminate the need for print.
Mm-hmm.
Internet is almost eliminating the need for the printed word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it is an interesting shift, though, between television, which people, I think part of the problem with television is like we didn't have control over what was put on TV. I mean, to an extent, if a lot of people watched it, they would play more of that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the internet's interesting because suddenly the control kind of shifts, and it's about whatever you want it to be about.
Yeah, by design.
Yeah.
And the algorithm will even help cater to that.
So I can see how maybe there's more of an opportunity to create a positive out of it, even though the extremes of the negatives are so.
Yeah. And the negative side of that is that in television, you're taking whatever's being offered, even if it's a point of view that's different than yours, but you have nothing else to watch, so you're going to watch it. Whereas with the internet, you are constantly being fed things that reinforce your point of view. Mm-hmm. And I think that's in large part what's fueling the division in our nation.
Yeah.
Because you are just, even with your news, if you're liberal, you choose this news. If you're conservative, you choose this news. Mm-hmm. And you're only going to get things that reinforce your point of view because they make money if you're watching them.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, prior to the age of the internet, honestly, I didn't even really know who was Democrat and who was Republican among my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that my family was for the most part Republican, and but I didn't care what actors were, and I didn't know who,
Yeah.
And we hung out with people, and it's like if you found out somebody was a different political party, nobody cared. I don't remember anybody caring about that stuff. Whereas now it's like it is a real point of division in our nation.
Yeah. Which really, I think, the internet created the environment.
Yeah.
It's social media.
Yeah.
That caused that, for sure.
And it's produced, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, or I'm sure it was probably some of both. Mm-hmm. The idea of the algorithm is to keep you engaged with the product. But it does that by feeding you things that are only affirming the opinions you already have. And that's just drawing you deeper and deeper to where everything is telling you you're right and these people are crazy. So now it's not just like, I don't really watch things that go like, oh, well, here's why I think whatever, and it's like totally against, but I have nothing else to watch, so I might as well watch it. And then it's like, well, maybe I'm seeing like, at least I know why they think that or how they could think that.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah. So again, you can kind of, I find something like a term and a study like epistemology, not like I'm advanced in it at all or whatever. I'm just a lay person in this, but I find understanding something like that helpful to be able to have kind of a view of how these different transmissions of information are affecting culture. Right?
Yeah, it might save you some headaches too.
Now, we can see, as I said, everything has a benefit and everything has a detraction. Are the positives outweighing the negative? I mean, at this point, it kind of doesn't matter because it's here and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, do the positives of the internet outweigh the negative? Here's what I will say about the internet. What are some of the huge negatives? The algorithm, the consuming of time. I will say too, just on a very specific thing, the pervasiveness and the availability of pornography is a problem with the internet for sure. So that is a negative. A positive to the internet would be, at least up to this point, there is a lack of control that powerful institutions have over the narrative on the internet. And that is a positive to me. It's too broad and accessed by too many creators to be able to control the narrative. Whereas if everybody is getting their source of information, like when I was a kid, you had 3 channels, right? Pretty easy to control the narrative of the nation in 3 channels, where it's like, those are the only 3 places I can get information.
Yeah.
But now I can get information from 3 million places all over the world. And I will also say too that a positive is that the internet is starting to create a format and a desire for deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I will watch a 3-hour podcast on somebody talking about a given subject. Yeah. That maybe they have a different opinion than me. But it's like, I'm going to get to see this person talk for more than 5 minutes or more than their 7-minute spot on this news show or whatever. Yeah. I'm going to see them not only talk about it, but be questioned on it, be challenged on it.
And not just a person, experts.
Experts. For hours. And it's like, okay, I feel like when I got to the end of that, I got something real out of it. You're not going to get that out of television. So there are some benefits to the internet. There's obviously, now we're getting into the age of AI, you know, which is another huge subject. I don't want this to be a 12-hour long podcast, but it's like AI is this next iteration of the internet. And it's like, what are going to be some of the positives from this next season of epistemology? And what are going to be some of the casualties of it?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know where I kind of land on it. Is it a net negative? Probably for the world, you know? Yeah. AI, the internet.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a net positive for you personally.
Or a net negative, you mean?
Or yeah, net negative for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there are positive aspects, and it does cater to what you want out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think AI is very much the same thing. Like, it's not, I think people are maybe a little confused about how AI operates, you know, like they think it's just some like magical thing that's coming up with intelligence or something. It's not. It's gathering information, and it's coded and modeled in a way that emulates the way we talk. So it's giving you information in a very human way. Yeah. You know, which is, it's there's a lot to go into there, right? Like, we're creating an image of ourselves in a way, you know, which is, it's a big conversation, but it's not, from what I've used it a bit.
Yeah, I use it.
It's not all that biased from what I can tell. It can be what you make it. Yeah. But if you can pretty much program it.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty wild. And it's useful.
Here's the thing. I think for us right now, we're speculating. on whether it's going to be a net positive or a negative, because its availability to culture on a mass level is still new. I'm sure AI in forms has been around for a while, but us being able to just, everybody uses AI now. This is a relatively new thing. If we were going straight from the printing press to AI, I say it's a net negative. But that's not where we're at.
Yeah.
We have been on a decline from the printed word to television, radio, cable television, you know, TikTok.
Yeah, the internet,
so
iPhones, social media.
From where we're at right now. And then I'm also going to plug in another thing that has been in decline. And that is the quality of our educational institutions. A university in 2025 is not the same as a university in 1985. They're not the same quality, or even going back earlier. If we were going back from the time of the printed word in higher educational institutions straight to AI, then I say, no, this is a net negative. But when we see everything on such a just precipitous decline, you know, and now it's like you have this thing that seems to be like this tool that is elevating our access to good information and wisdom.
Unbiased information.
I feel like it's an improvement over where we're at least at this point.
I think as it sits now,
it's an improvement.
There's a lot of good that it could do, you know? And I mean, a lot of people are uncomfortable with it, especially in the church. I think there's a lot of...
I guess so. Maybe older people.
Yeah.
Maybe even some younger. I don't
know. You know, not even just in the church, but the idea of, you know, this thing coming in and taking jobs, you know, and allowing people to cheat in school, and, you know, all of these things are, I mean, it does affect a lot of areas of life.
Okay, but see, this is the question that we need to ask. Is like, okay, what are going to be some of the casualties of AI? And this is, I'm sure, not going to be like a popular thought. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything. What is a casualty of AI? At what point do you not need universities for 90% of things?
Yeah.
You're always going to need some sort of program with residency and everything else to be a surgeon. Or to be a, you know. But what do I need to know from a professor about whatever that I couldn't have in 2 seconds and probably better from ChatGPT? Like, why would I pay $40,000 a year plus my living expense and everything else, take out student loans, do all of this stuff to get information from this person that I could get for free 100 times faster, better, and never even have to get up out of my chair to do it?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think if university was what it used to be in the past, you know, maybe it would be more of a sad thing to see it go. But as it sits right now,
I could care less about it.
It's not doing great.
I don't see that they're turning out any world changers.
No, not in a good way anyways. But you shift that towards a biblical perspective or a church perspective.
Yeah.
AI is very capable of interpreting scripture. Like, obviously, again, it's pulling information that it can gather that comes from humans. It comes from us. All of this information. Yeah. It's not making up anything new necessarily.
Yep.
What's the need for me to go receive spiritual counseling when I could talk to AI? What's the need for me to read a commentary from this guy when I can ask AI? You know, like where...
So you're talking about different things there.
I guess so.
Because like what's not factored into that is what is being gained by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and what is being accomplished by wrestling with God about something.
Yeah.
Because sure, I mean, I'm a pastor who writes sermons.
Mm-hmm.
I will fully admit that AI can write a more articulate, smoother message than I can. Like already. I've seen it. I've done it. I said, I've written a sermon about something and I've told AI, write a sermon about this. And I read it and I'm like, that is
pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's smooth, right?
Yeah.
But what AI doesn't do is like when I have a text before me, my time is, spent before the Lord saying, God, but what is it you want to say to your church this week? God, what do you want to do with this word in the hearts of people?
Yeah.
AI is going to explain it perfectly to you. And it's not so scary because you're always going to have the Bible to regulate it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
The Bible interprets the Bible.
Scripture.
So if AI is helping you find something quicker, it's like, well, what if it's lying to me? Well, you still have the Bible.
Yeah, the scriptures.
Read the Bible.
Infallible, and it's really one of the things that AI can't.
It's not going to change.
Touch,
Yeah.
And just to clarify, that's not how I feel. Those aren't genuine questions coming from me.
No, I know.
I fully.
No, I get it. I'm entertaining those same questions though myself as I'm wrestling through this. It's like just this morning, I spent 5 hours just processing and praying and wrangling through making my notes. And that's not even talking about the time spent just studying throughout this week already. And this is just making my notes. And I told you earlier when we were talking, it's like I'll hit a point where it's like I would just get up and just start walking and like, okay, Lord, what's next? Yeah. I'm not just wanting to explain what this means. It's like, but what are you wanting to speak to your church? So I don't think AI is going to replace that.
No, and there's more to gain out of that wrestling. When you are wrestling with the topic and it's sitting in you and you're thinking about it,
Yeah.
I mean, we are obsessed with having answers to questions. And like sometimes I don't know if scripture is necessarily calling us to just find the answer. A lot of times it's,
Yeah, it's not. It's maybe not just calling us to have the answer just spoon-fed to us in 2 seconds.
Yeah. The Spirit wants to reveal the truth of the scripture for sure, but
do some seeking.
It's a process. And a lot of times, you might land on a certain interpretation or a certain answer that you received. And then years later, it might be different in your perspective, like things change and I don't know. It's a process.
Yeah.
And when you just immediately turn to AI and say like, solve this problem for me. Yeah. It's taking away from part of the beauty of really diving into scripture and letting it unfold.
For the most part, like the way I use AI is I'm using AI to use like a very kind of like pragmatic type of saying this. I'm using AI to enhance the product. Mm-hmm. Like this is my process. If I can use AI somehow to enhance this step of the process of whatever I'm doing, I'm going to use it.
You've put in the work.
I guess the concern would be is, I developed my processes long before AI existed. Mm-hmm. People who grow up with AI, what is their process going to be?
Yeah.
They're still going to have a process, because if you're going to produce a good end result, you're going to have to be able to take this information, apply it, and literally get something done. Mm-hmm. Or otherwise, it's still just information.
Yeah.
Right? I wonder sometimes, though, kind of going back to it, what is going to justify the existence of some things? I mean, it's like I said, at one point, every household had a set of encyclopedias in it.
Yeah.
It would be silly to have one now.
Maybe.
They're heavy. They take up a bunch of space. They're very limited in how much information they actually have on the subject.
Yeah.
Right? My phone is a better encyclopedia than the set of encyclopedias for sure.
Yeah.
So they've kind of gone the way of the dinosaur. I felt that way about music. When I was a kid growing up playing guitar, who did you get to teach you?
Yeah.
You had a neighbor who could play. Then you go jam with this other guy and he'd show you a little something. Hopefully there was a good guitar teacher in town.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So you're just scraping, trying to get information to get so good. And now I click on YouTube and there's 100,000 11-year-olds who play better than anybody I ever saw my entire life growing up in person. Like anybody I knew. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they just have access to the best in the world from the second they try to start.
Yep.
You know? So it's like, okay, I wonder sometimes, why are you going and paying $100 a month for guitar lessons?
Yeah. Like, it's all right there.
It's all right there for free.
Some people value that structure.
The accountability.
Yeah.
The accountability would be the thing. Mm-hmm. But other than accountability, I mean, you could get guitar lessons from...
Yeah, and the instant feedback is something valuable there.
Yeah.
You know, having somebody be able to hear you play it and point out. Like,
yeah, that's what mom and dad are for.
Yeah, yeah. Because they know how to play guitar.
No, I agree. And you're going to find formats then to start jamming with people and all that stuff. Yeah. But these kids that I'm seeing on the internet did not get that way from going to Joe Schmo at the guitar shop and paying them.
Some phenoms out there.
So I'm just saying, like, the advent of these things, they're always here in our town. Like, this is just for an example. When I was growing up, there was 4 to 5 like good size guitar shops in this town. And now there's one. Yeah. With one guitar teacher.
And they don't have the drumsticks I like.
Like, no, they don't have much of anything I like that. Honestly. It's like, how do you compete with Amazon? Yeah. Right? Well, that's just the way it is. Yeah. But think about that. One guitar shop with one guitar teacher in a town of, 120,000 people? Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild.
It's things are changing, you know? And I've got to think AI is going to start to have an effect on some of these higher institutions of learning.
Definitely. And my big thing is, like, I don't want to live in fear about AI or the internet or anything like that. I want to know how to use it properly and responsibly and not let it have control over me. You know, I want to use it. I don't want it using me.
I don't want to live in fear of anything.
No. Yeah, me either.
We don't have to.
Nope.
You know, we serve a pretty big God.
Yeah.
Whether there's AI or...
Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's necessarily anything spiritual about it. There's a lot of concern out there that, you know, AI is the Antichrist and all of that, you know, wild stuff. But
it's not.
It is what you make it.
It's not. I wish, you know, maybe sometime on one of these we'll break down the events of the book of Revelation a little bit.
Let's do it.
And then it's like, okay, you try to tell me how AI is the mark of the beast or the beast himself.
Well, Elon Musk has got chips that he's going to put in everybody's head. Chris, come on. Get with it.
I'd love to talk about it.
I'll just play devil's advocate the whole time. Yeah. Can I say that? Is that okay to say in a church?
Let me ask ChatGPT. I don't know.
Jeremiah, what are your thoughts real quick?
Well, when it comes to AI, I think it brings with it like something that we haven't had in a really long time. Like it brings along with it this like philosophical like proposition for us. Cause we've been like, I agree with Pastor Chris. We've been on this downward trend. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I'm still a pretty young person. I'm not 30 years old yet, but like I can see all of these points of like that we're going down. But now that AI is here and people are scared, you know, and I think like for people who are too old to adapt, you know, to this like new way of living with AI around, like, yes, it's going to take people's jobs. It's just like some things are like, why would I pay a human to do this when AI can do it, you know, so much cheaper and so much faster, right? But along with that, there are certain things that AI can't replace, right? There's a certain aspect of humanity that AI cannot compete with. It's not sentient. This isn't Skynet, you know, like this is not the Terminator. And it's forcing everybody here who's taken all this for granted. Like they have to think, what makes us human? You know, what can AI not take away? You know, like there are certain aspects of life that you have to have human interaction, human touch, human thought to like comprehend. When you were talking about like the using AI for like church stuff, like you can get the AI to interpret scripture for you, but it's never gonna pray for you. It's never gonna like act within the Holy Spirit and like, here, let me pray about this for you, like and heal your sickness. You know, ask Jesus to come into your life, and like AI is never gonna do that. It will never replace that. Like there's other things like art, right? AI could bust out a super rad, sick painting, right? But there's no life behind it, right? There's something greater than just the thing itself, right? There's art isn't valuable because it's pretty. Art is valuable because the skill it took to create it. You know, and there's something that like AI will never be able to overcome. So it's not as scary as what people are thinking it is. If you're scared about AI taking your job, think about what it means to be human. Go into something that AI can't replace.
Yeah. Have you heard the AI music though? It's really good.
So good.
It's really good.
Oh my goodness.
It's upsetting. That one upsets me a little bit. Well, thank you, everybody that tuned into this episode. We appreciate you making it this far and listening to us talk.
Yeah. If you made it this far, you are a true friend of the podcast.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably end up splitting this up a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. See you next time.
Perfect. Cutting it.